And one more video on video editing. Again, After Effects is not made for video editing, but we can do some video editing. So if I have my footage, I can drag and drop and put it to either my composition. No, then I could like scale, put it where I need it to be. I hold Shift so it's proportionally scales. So you see my footage is somehow of a weird format. It's not proper 1080 HD. It's obviously filmed with a mobile. I could of course make a composition by dragging and dropping it here. So I made a composition with exactly the same length of my original footage and the size of my footage. So that's also one way to go. Either to drag in to a composition if you require specific size, length, frame rate and so on, or if you need to edit existing footage, might be it makes sense to make compositions with exact same dimensions, frame rate and whatnot of this existing video. Okay, so a couple of words on editing. As you see, maybe it's easier to show here. Yeah, my video ends here, and notice if I click and drag in the middle, it will start in this case at 10th second, and it will end around 30th second. So I just, make it start earlier or later. If I click and drag, you see it already finishes here, so basically I cut off the beginning and the end. So that's one way of cutting things off. So let's say I want to have this video here, then get rid of some part and then continue with this. So one way of doing it would be cut off, duplicate the track, Ctrl D, or of course Ctrl C, Ctrl V would work as well. Then cut out some unneeded area, and where the footage is again the one that I need, I can just combine them, and I got rid of the middle of the footage. If that's too much effort, you could also do it like this. So let's say since here I don't need my footage, Ctrl Shift D, and let's say only I need it from this red, yeah, and Ctrl Shift D, delete this, move this over. So a couple of ways of doing it. And then let's talk about effects. So we have some effects like in Photoshop. Maybe I will come back to this one, and I get them with right click, effects, and you see I have many of them here. So some of them are very obvious how to use, and some are not so obvious. So first we'll start with the obvious ones. So they are here under blur and sharpen, and of course they blur and sharpen things. Then obvious ones are under color correction, under distort, under stylize. We will look into those ones. So I go, let's say, with Gaussian blur, or maybe radial blur, something. So you see I have this blurriness, and it kind of has this radial shape. And you see I have here amount 10, and all my things are lost in my compositions and stuff. So notice that it just doesn't fit here, and it's it's here or here. And okay, I can increase the blurriness, and since there is a stopwatch, I can also animate this value. So let's say I will start with very blurred thing, and in third second it will go to normal image, which is 0 blurriness. And you see it's really blurry, and it goes to normal video. And of course I can see all the keyframes here under effects, a radial blur in this case, and there's a change from big value to 0. I could of course do everything what I can do with keyframes. I copied it, Ctrl C, Ctrl V, and now it again starts to blur. Now I'll copy both of these, Ctrl C, Ctrl V, and now here it's unblurry again, and it starts to blur again, and so on. So basically I can keyframe all these things. Then I can add more effects. So they are stacking on top of each other. So I go to to channel, let's say, or color correction, even better. Let's grab curves, and that's the same curves you have in Photoshop. So say I'm not gonna work on RGB, I will work only on one channel, say blue, and I will add a point, and I will fix existing, make a keyframe and fix existing curve situation here. And here maybe I will just do something crazy, and I want to go back, so I'll just copy this keyframe and paste. And you see one channel, blue channel, got really darker here in the mid-tones and in the dark tones, and therefore the other channels are brighter, and therefore it's like removing blue, so to speak, from this image. If I were to move it up, it would become much bluer, if that's the word. And you see those effects are stacked on top of each other. Of course, you could make them work at the same time as well. So it's both blurriness and this crazy color thing going on. And I can add more effects. So we looked at color correction here. Oh yeah, and let's go to the start and say we want to do twirl. I'll do it here. So angle, I fix angle at 0 here, and here the angle will increase, and you see it kind of twirls here. I can change the position of my twirl. Might be, I don't want it to be there, I want it to be here, and so on. And again, I can animate all these values, twirl position, angle, and so on. So that's something from the start. And let's go to stylize, and let's say, I don't know, emboss. So it looks like it's, I don't know, let's make it a relief a bit higher so we can see it. You know, does some crazy things. I will just delete that. See if there is something more useful. Maybe glow would be more useful. Sometimes you would want that. And of course you can change all these values, and of course you can keyframe them as well if they have this stopwatch. So that's about it about effects. More or less same things as in Photoshop.